Right, this was always on the cards. Now we have confirmation. Kylian Mbappé is out for 3 weeks. Before I go any further, if you do enjoy the content that I am producing on this channel, daily Real Madrid videos covering everything from transfer news to the matches, the injuries, anything at all related to Real Madrid, plus my own thoughts on what we should be doing and reacting to the situations as and when they arise. If you do enjoy that, please consider subscribing to the channel. Moving on. Okay, so Kylian Mbappé is out. Who are we going to blame? Are we going to blame the fixture schedule, which a lot of people seem to be doing? Are we blaming Carlo Ancelotti for his reluctance to rotate? Or are we filing it under one of those, it's just one of those things? In reality, it's difficult because it's happened and there isn't a lot of value in playing the blame game. What we can say is that it was always likely to happen, especially if we talk about the planning of the side. Kylian Mbappé was effectively the only forward. We allowed Joselu to leave, which is fair enough given that we brought in Endrick. But now you're faced with a bit of a problem, because what do you do in his absence? And particularly as he's been in absolutely scintillating form recently. I know that he's had a lot of critics, but what I've seen is a player who's getting into the right positions and he's making those little combinations like we knew he would. And it's really annoying because just when he starts to strike up that relationship with Vinicius and Bellingham, suddenly he's out the side. Anyway, option A, we go with Endrick up top. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the more romantic fans would love this idea because he's the young, exciting Brazilian. He's scored a few goals. He's feeding off absolute scraps from Ancelotti. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes if you're lucky. Go and win us the game, go and score a worldie. If not, you're back on the bench next game. Could be a possibility. However, he hasn't had that many minutes in the side. So it's a completely different ball game going from your 5 to 10 minutes here and there to 90 minutes for 3 weeks in a row. And yes, he is capable of doing it. He did it for Palmeiras in Brazil last season and he was very effective. But I don't think it's the way that Carlo Ancelotti is going to want to go. Carlo Ancelotti is a little bit reluctant to go with the wild card option. I believe that he will revert back to what he did last season, which is play with two up top, Vinicius and Rodrigo, and Bellingham in behind. And this is a system which we used last season very effectively. We won the league, we won the Champions League, and we were able to win a lot of key games throughout the season. Now, Bellingham knows how to play the position. That's really key. So do Vinicius and Rodrigo. They know how to tuck inside, and you might even argue that Rodrigo's a little bit better placed as he's a little bit closer to goal. However, how are we lining up the three midfielders behind Bellingham? I think that Tchouaméni and Valverde have all but guaranteed their possession in the team for the game against Atletico. But the third midfielder, I would say that the most logical choice is Luka Modric. He's a player that's played against Atletico Madrid countless times over the last decade. He knows them inside and out, and he's got that wealth of experience. Aside from that, the other alternatives don't exactly fill me with confidence. Camavinga's out injured. Ceballos is still out injured, but I don't really rate him, as you know. And the only other option which you could go with is you could go with something a little bit crazy. You could go with, say, an Arda Güler as the third midfielder, which is a really interesting shout, actually, because his passing ability is insane. And he could replicate something akin to what Kroos does. He very rarely gives the ball away. But do you risk him in such a high-profile game? I don't believe that you do. If you're Carlo Ancelotti, you are very pragmatic. You stick with what you know, and I believe that he will go with the diamond formation. And fair play to him. It worked for us last season. It can work for us again. And you could argue that it's almost the same, bar the fact that we don't have Toni Kroos. The only other thing is that last season we struggled, particularly with Atletico Madrid. And this leads me to believe that we might have to go with a little bit of a wild card because clearly last season we struggled to break them down. They are very resolute defensively, and Cholo Simeone is very, very good at neutralising our attack. He seems to be able to deal with Vinicius and Rodrigo, for instance, and the likes of an Endrick coming into the game or an Arda to open up a broken game. Sounds like quite a prospect. So even though it is bad news that Kylian Mbappe's out, I do believe that we do have enough firepower to get past Atletico Madrid. Now, there's a couple of other games that he is scheduled to miss, and the big one for me is the Champions League game against Lille. And it might not seem like much, but Lille were fantastic last season. They do deserve their place in the Champions League, and it is going to be annoying that we don't have him for that game because he really would have benefited. On the other hand, we also know that in the Champions League, teams don't tend to sit back. They tend to attack because they want 3 points. Don't forget, it's an unforgiving league table now. It's completely different. You don't get to play the teams home and away. So Lille are going to come and attack Madrid. So we will get more opportunities. And when we do get opportunities, players like Vinicius tend to kill you off. So whilst it's annoying, I do believe that we have got alternatives and we have got the ability to get through these games. But this is a real test because last season and seasons previous, when the chips are down, Real Madrid tend to come through. But Atletico are a different story. Last season, despite the fact that we were winning the games against Barcelona, getting through really tough Champions League games, we couldn't get past them. We were very inconsistent in breaking them down. So it is a real test. Let me know your thoughts. How would you approach the side with Kylian Mbappé out of the team? Maybe Camavinga comes back and is an option for those latter games before he does return. What would you do? Give me a shout in the comments below, and if you did enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Take care.